Welcome to Obsidian for Tabletop RPGs. Let's learn how to use the tool. Alright, g'day guys and welcome back tonight to another Obsidian video. Tonight we're looking at part 2 of the Let's Learn Obsidian series, and this is designed for new Obsidian users who are looking to use Obsidian to supplement their TTRPG experience. So whether you're a dungeon master looking to make a campaign manager, or even a player looking to use this tool to keep track of your player notes, this is a fantastic tool to assist you with that process. Now, in the first video we went through how to install the tool, how to format your notes, how to create folders, and how to set up some of your basic settings. Tonight we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive, and the objective is, how to create a nice TTRPG vault that has everything that you need in it. Now, what I'm showing you here is my personal vault. This is obviously something that I use to manage my own games, and something that I'm quite passionate about is Foundation. Alright, so foundation and structure of your foundation to ensure that you've got something that's in place and stable and solid enough for you to build upon as you go forth and make the rest of your campaign management suite. Now, part of the core foundation elements of data organization in Obsidian is folders. Now, there's a whole group of people who use Obsidian who don't use folders. Hats off to those guys. It looks like absolute chaos. I have no idea how you do it or why you would even want to consider doing that. I'm a big folder user. And the reason why I'm a big folder user as a TTRPG player is that I like to put certain types of notes in certain folders. So all of my spells are in my spells folder. All my monsters are in my monsters folder. All of my items are in my items folder. I'm sure you get the idea of this. Now, the reasoning why I do that is because I don't always just stay in one vault. Like, what if I want to move to another vault? What if I have another party stand up and I don't want to keep it in the same vault? I can easily pick the elements from folders. I can just copy entire folders from one vault to the other. Alright, I can take my spells folder, I can copy it, and I can copy it over to another vault very easily, very quickly. And so because of that, I like to store everything. Now, outside of that, it also lets me have some, obviously, organization to the chaos. Like, I have a lot of mechanic notes. I don't need to see them all at the same time. Right, like it would get confusing for me. So by having folders, they're structured, they're off in their own little corner. I know where to go when I want to find them quickly and easily. All right, I don't usually actually even go and look for them when I'm playing my games. I usually link to them from notes directly, but they're organized should I need to go and find them. So folders. Let's jump over to our Let's Learn vault. Now this is a brand new fresh vault, and as you can see here, what I've done is I've just gone ahead of time and created these folders for us. So to create a folder is simple. We click the new folder, we give it a folder name and press enter, and we now have a folder, and inside that folder we can stick notes. Alright, that's as simple as it is. Now what I've done here though, you'll see, is I've obviously created my folder structure. I've put numbers in front of them, alright, or letters in front of them. And the reason why I'm doing that is Windows sorts things from 1 to 0, 1 to 9 generally, or 0 to 9 with numbers, and when it's lettering, and then it's A to Z. Alright, so you can use numbers and letters to kind of get your folders in the right order that you want. Now, what are these folders? Let's just bring the vault back. Let's have a quick look so you can give an idea of why I structure things the way I do. I've got my DM screen. My DM screen is, as it sounds, it's a DM screen. Like, so think about the DM screen that you would have in a physical game, that piece of cardboard that sits in front of you. What would you have on there? Some people have like snippets of rules and random tables and stuff like that. The benefit of Obsidian is you can have a lot more information. Okay, so you can see here I've got categories, I've got notes inside them, they're linked to other notes, right? And using that I can quickly go through and find things. I use the random generators quite a bit. That's probably the thing that I use the most, to be honest. So these are fantastic tools, and it just speeds my game up. Now, I don't use my DM screen that much when I'm playing, to be completely honest. Like, I know most of the rules by this point, but it's nice to have a place where I can go to quickly pull information up. You say if I forget something. Yeah, I've went through this in a video before, but what I do is I have pictures on the things that I commonly forget. I'm sure you can see a theme here. I'm always forgetting how grappling works, so that's a thing. Chase rules, right? I put pictures on the ones that I want to draw my eye to and give me attention to really quickly. Alright, then I have a folder for scratch notes. Now, scratch notes is literally just junk notes, right? It's a place for me to create notes where I can throw things in there and not have to worry about them. So I like to have a folder for scratch notes. if I'm quickly need to remember something at the table, I'll create a scratch note, right? That way I can have it there, come back to it later and use it. I then have a folder for my party, all right, and these, I have one note per party member, all right, so if we go into Toads, we can see Toads was a turtle, RIP Toads, it didn't work out too well for him. We have a D&D character, D&D Beyond character sheet that's automatically synchronizing. This is the best way to do character sheets in my opinion. I don't like to keep a custom copy of character sheets in my vault because they need to be updated constantly and that would be a waste of my time. So I synchronize with my players' character sheets using the web service. I have notes, memorable moments, right? And that's why I have one note per player. And what that means is that I can write about that player. Now, over here on the right, you can see backlinks for Toads, right? So because I have this note open, all right, I've got backlinks. And if you don't know what backlinks are, it's probably worth mentioning. Come down here to settings, come in here to core plugins, and have a look at the different plugins that are available here. There's two that I very much recommend you turn on. It's backlinks and then outgoing links. These are two very, very useful different panes. And what they do is they enable these buttons over on here on the right. All right, you might not see that, it might be collapsed. You might need to expand it, but then you get the backlinks and you get the outgoing links. Backlinks is basically for other notes that linked to this note. All right, so I can see linked mentions, Toads, all right, has been mentioned in all of these notes at one point in time. But also here, unlinked mentions, this is cool, right? So unlinked mentions is other notes that mention Toads that are not linked. All right, and I can actually click this button to create the link. All right, look how easy that is. So now those notes are all linking to this properly, which is fantastic. Outgoing links is links from this page to other things. All right, so you can see it's picking up like different names and stuff, goblins. You can have a link to a goblin, for example, and that will put the link in there. Link to a zombie, you can have a link to a zombie, it puts the link in there. So it's to speed up your linking, particularly handy when you're not creating the links at the time of writing. So let's say you import a bunch of content, you can go back through and audit your notes with these links, so that's really handy. That's just a quick run through of that. I like to therefore have one note per player so that I can reference that player in my notes and have this linkage all set up, and it gives me quick and speedy access to their obviously character sheets. Alright, then I have the world folder. The world folder is where I stick my wiki notes, right? So it's where I have my locations, my towns, my forests, my mountain ranges, right? It's everything that exists. In here, I've got the FR, which is the Forgotten Realms, info-ron, and you see I've got a whole chunk of notes, alright? And these are notes about different places. There's all sorts of different formats in here, I'm going to be completely honest, because I've created this over the last 10 years. And the formatting has changed quite a lot. There's some new stuff in here. Silverwood? No. I wonder if I could just bring up something, but doesn't matter. We'll get to that later. I also have my adventures in here. So we've got 5th edition modules that I'm playing. I've got third-party modules that I'm playing. And I have a folder per module. And then I have a note per chapter of those modules. Right? And I break those books down like that. So that's world. Mechanics. Mechanics is, as it sounds, it is all the mechanical stuff that goes into my game. So mechanics is where I have the spells and the monsters and the magic items. Alright, and you can see I've got subfolders in here for all the different things. Alright, and then in here I've got, you know, different folders for the different books, and then I've got a note per thing. So here's all the spells, for example. Alright, then in here I've got the bestiary, alright, which means I have a folder per monster book. And then in there, a note per monster. And of course I do this so you can link to the monsters or link to the spells. Alright, it's very, very handy. Alright, then I have my session journals. Now the session journal folders is actually quite special. You might not need to do this, but I have a website service. Alright, so I'm using something called the Markbase plugin, which creates a website from my notes. So my session journal folder is actually synchronizing to a website. So when I put my session notes in here, for my players at the end of each session, I press a button that synchronizes to a website, and then my players can come in and read the session journal notes and catch up on what's happening. Handy for players that miss a session. Alright, now there's two other things that are important. A Z_assets folder, I put the Z to make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. That's where all the assets go. And what you do is you right click that one and you go set as attachment folder. Any pictures you add to your vault, PDFs, files, anything other than MD files, will automatically go into that folder. So it's just a nice way to keep things organized and do it really quickly and efficiently. And then the templates folder is where I keep templates. Now we'll go through templates in a future video. It's a very important topic, it deserves its own video, but having a folder is part of that process, so that's what's there. Alright, so you can see I've created that all here. I've set my numbers up, and I do recommend that you set your numbers up and you be happy with the foundation format of this, because as you go on, you're going to start using something called data view, most likely, and you kind of like, you can hard code the folder names into data view, and it becomes a painful process if you do change the names of your folders. So be happy with this, alright? You don't have to follow what I'm doing, but I do recommend you have some sort of structure and organizational management thing that you're going for. Alright, so now we have a foundation. Okay, the folders are defined, we can start putting information in, alright? And some of these are going to require plugins, and we'll step through how to do that, but the next step for me from here is, well, how do I get the tool to look the way I want it to look? And there's a whole heap of different ways you can do this. Obviously there's lots of different themes. If we go down here to settings, there's a light and a dark theme. Alright, but there's also in here under themes, hit the manage button, and you'll see that there's all these different themes you can install. Now you can go through here and test out the different ones that you like. For me, there's one that I use, so I go straight to it. It's called the ITS theme. Alright, and the reason why I like this is it's designed for the TTRPG community. Alright, so if I click use this theme, alright, here's the dark view, here's the light view. Alright, both of these are not the way I like it to look, to be completely honest. So let's go back into manage. Let's have a look at the installed themes now, because now we can have a look at it. And go to the ITS theme. If we read through the README, you'll see that there's this stuff in here called alternate themes. And that's what we're looking for now. Just heads up, I did find that the links for this weren't working, so if you come up here to the repository, that will open up the GitHub. And we can scroll down here, and the README is exactly the same here, but we can see the alternate themes. Alright, and how to install the alternate themes. This is what we're looking for. Alright, so go to the All Alternate Themes snippet. Alright, click the download and copy the entire new tab of CSS. So click download. Press Ctrl A to copy all, Ctrl C to copy it. Alright, in Obsidian, open settings and appearance and click the folder icon beside the CSS snippets header. Alright, so let's go in and do that. So back here in appearance, CSS snippets, and there's a folder option. That will open up the folder. I've already got another one here. We'll just pretend that's not there. We'll delete it. So it's in the folder for your vault, .obsidian, and then a snippets folder. Alright, if we come back here and have a look at the instructions, it says create a new CSS file in that folder. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to right click, new, and go text document, and we're going to call ITS alternative themes, and we're going to change the extension to CSS instead of text. It's going to prompt me to say, do you wish to change that? Yes. It's now a CSS file. Alright, so we're going to open this one here with Notepad. Notepad. I'm going to paste in all of the content that we got on our clipboard from before. Click save, close that down, close this down, click reload on the snippets, and now we can see ITS alternative themes, and we can turn that on. Alright, now if we come back here to the README, toggle the snippet on, yep, and then we need to enable the style settings plugin. So let's do that. Alright, so come in from settings to community plugins. Alright, we're going to come to this message here. It says community plugins, like any other software you install, could potentially cause data integrity and security issues. They're absolutely right. Alright, so they're giving you a warning. They're saying from this point forward, we are not in control of what you may be running. because the community plugins are made by the community. All right, they're not made by Obsidian. There are some steps here that the Obsidian devs have, so they do an initial code review. The plugins are all open source, so they can be peer reviewed, and they're saying here that the peer audit does occur, and there's a report mechanism. So we're going to turn those on. I've got fair faith in the ones I use, so turn on, and that enables this screen here, which has a browse button. Come in here and hit the style settings. Go ahead and install. Once it's installed, click enable. Alright, and now style settings is enabled. We can now come in here to the style settings plugin down the bottom here. And you'll see we've now got some options for ITS, or AKA in the shadows. What we're looking for is the ITS alternate themes. And in here we get all of these different options. Now this is where your TTRPG sort of options are. Now I like these. So there's blue, there's grey, there's different themes, alright? Now you can turn on the ones that you like. In here are the TTRPG ones. So there's a nice green. Alright, there's the Wizards of the Coast Beyond. And there's a Wizards of the Coast one as well. Now I like to use this one here, which is the Beyond one. And that has this nice sort of like sort of notepad feel to it. There is also a dark version of this, alright, which is that there. So I like this one here. So we've now got that enabled. Now, the reason why I use this one, alright, just so that you're aware, it's not just to get you all using the same theme. I mean, that makes life easier, but there's actually functionality in here. Alright, and just to show you what I'm talking about, if we come in here to the phone, have a look at a note. I use these right-hand wiki-style tables a lot in my notes. I quite like them. Alright, it gives me that wiki feel. It's over here on the right, lets me have a lot of information quickly on the same screen, and then I can have that all down here. This is coming from the ITS theme. Now, there are ways for you to install this functionality without the ITS theme, but it's easier if you just use the ITS theme. So just a heads up, that's why I'm telling you to install this one. You don't have to, but it is recommended. Alright, so now we have a folder layout. We have the appearance set up so we can see the way we want to do, and we're basically now ready to, start entering content. Well, we're not, right? Let's just get a few things out of the way. There's a few plugins that I consider mandatory to the experience. Now we're just going to bring up the complete noob guide. Alright, so just a heads up that over on my Patreon, I do have a post here for the complete noob's guide to Obsidian.md for Dungeon Masters, with a link through all the things that I recommend you install in order to get up and running on using this application. Alright, so I recommend you do that. And it's kind of what we're stepping through now, is just that process. Alright, now there is something in here that I highly recommend, and it's a community plugin. So we go to settings, we go to community plugins, we go browse, and what we're looking for is called various complements. Various complements is a linking plugin. It is going to make life a lot easier for you to do your linking. I'll give you a demonstration now. Alright, over here in our scratch notes, we go new note. Alright, so this is how you link. We're going to have a link to me file. Alright, so linking example. This is how you link. By default, you type square bracket, alright, and this pops up and you go link to me. Alright, that's how you do it, is you do it. But now that we've installed the various complements plugin, all we have to do is type link. Oh, look, I just typed link and link to me comes up. Alright, and press enter and it completes the link. So that is quicker and easier than having to type the actual code each time. That's one of the reasons why the various complements plugin is amazing. Another reason is because where we have front matter, and front matter is a section in the top of your notes where you can contain information, variables, boxes of information. I like to have a note type variable in my notes. This will be a junk note. Alright, so one of the things that various complements gives to us is if we actually have another note, alright, where we have the same front matter, alright, that we have in another note. So we've got note type junk over here. Here we've got note type, but we don't actually have a result. If we press space, it comes up with the different options. Alright, and just to go out and see if we can type this. Will that pick up both of those? Alright, we're getting junk too. Yeah, so I reckon let's just try a third note. Create a front matter. I'm going to call this apples. Get rid of junk too. Alright, so now we have note type in 3 different notes. If we get rid of it here, notice how it now gives me junk 2, junk and apples, right, as options here from a drop-down menu. That's also coming from the various complements plugin. So there's 2 really strong reasons there to use the various complements plugin, in my opinion. The automatic linking is amazing, guys. Like, I highly recommend you make it one of the first things you install, and then obviously the ability there to manage the front matter. Alright, so next let's have a look at tables. Now, tables are obviously a very important thing to have in your notes. But, default out of the box, tables suck. Alright, so to do a table, column 1, you're doing a pipe, then the name of the column, then a pipe, and then a name, and then a pipe. And then you have to do it like this. I think it's... I can't even remember. It's been that long. I think it's like that. There we go. Alright, that's now starting to create a table. We'll put a 1 in there, and a 2 in there. That create a table, there we go. So that's how you create a table manually. How nasty is that? Alright, no one's going to want to do that every time they want to make a table. It's messy, it's sloppy, it's all over the place, and I can't stand it, so I don't use it. Alright, go to settings, go to community plugins, go browse, and do a search for advanced tables. This is a must install. Click install, click enable. While you're here, you can read the README. Alright, there's a few things that this thing can do, but one thing I really like is while you're in a table, if you press tab, oh, look at that. It's made everything the same size and formatted it really nicely. So that's one of the benefits. Also, you can tab between stuff. It turns it into an actual table almost. And check out how much easier this is. Alright, so we go column 1. Alright, column 2. Alright, see now I'm just kind of pressing tab and pressing enter, and it's automatically adding all of this formatting option in. So much easier to work with it when you've got this plugin installed. So as I said, I highly recommend you go ahead and install the Advanced Templates plugin straight off the bat, right? It's just one of those things that you want to use. Alright, what would be next? If I was going to get you to do anything, it would be how to do a folder note. Now, by default, so this is a folder and this is a note, right? You click on a folder, alright, and you can't read anything in it, right? So it's not that useful for me. Like, I like to have information in the parent, and for that I use folder notes. So let's just go through and do settings, community plugins, browse, do a search for folder note. There's a few of them. I like AIDANX's folder note, so I'll install that one. This has a reliance though on the folder note core. This one here, so you need to install both of these. And what does this do? This allows us to turn these things into proper notes. So let's say the party. I can right click on it, go create folder note. Notice how it's created a note in that folder that's exactly the same. Alright, excuse me. I reckon I'm just going to do a reload here. I'm going to open up the command palette. go. Type reload and just do a quick reload. Notice now there's now a line underneath the party, and I can't expand that anymore. Alright, so what that's actually done is it's created a note inside of that folder that's exactly the same name as the folder, and the plugin basically tells the computer, or tells Obsidian, that where there's a note that's exactly the same name, don't show that note in the folder, just wrap it up into the folder note. Now what this means is I can now have notes in here. Alright, but in here I can actually have a list of my players. So alright, so now I can have a note that's kind of like the parent hierarchy, that I can basically have a linking to those notes within that folder, and I think that's pretty cool. So just a heads up, that is folder note. Now, alright, so that gives you a little bit of an idea now on how to sort of lay your folders out, how to enable a theme, and how to install some very basic plugins that you will use as the foundation for your vault. These are certainly the things that I do recommend. Just give me a sec, I'll do a quick browse and see if there's anything else that I would recommend. Now everything kind of goes into more customization from here. There we go. Alright, so let's leave it at that. Alright, these are the most basic options that I recommend to get you started. From here, we're going to start diving into videos about specific templates that go into a lot more depth of how to do a specific thing. Probably the next video I'll do will be about maps, for example. Like, you really need to know how to do maps. That's got a special plugin for it, and we'll walk you through how to do that. So anyway, alright, that is how to set up the foundation of your vault. You've got appearance turns on, you've got the core plugins, you're ready to go, you're ready to start creating notes. You can probably already see how this is starting to be useful. You've got your linking working, so hopefully that's useful. But anyway, let's leave it there. That's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for joining me. If you are finding these useful, please do like and subscribe using the buttons below. And of course, you know, huge shout out to my Patreons. Thank you for your support. We're going to be diving into some more advanced videos pretty soon, so I'll be releasing those in a different series. But if you are using this, feel free to obviously like, subscribe, jump on the bandwagon, and yell out if there's anything you'd like to see. But outside of that, have a great day, and we'll speak to you on the forums. Thank you.